Hello, everyone. I'm Dr. Isabelle Amigues, your friendly rheumatologist, and today we're going to talk about what you can do to decrease the cost of medicine. And I'm going to push on the go live in Instagram, which always has a little bit of a delay. If you are watching this right now, please put an hashtag as live. If you're watching this as a replay, put hashtag replay. As always, you can actually watch the replays on YouTube video Rheumatology 101. I would love for you to be a subscriber so you never miss those. They are here for you. They are here. I'm a board certified rheumatologist, both in the US and in France. Take advantage of me. And talking about taking advantage, don't hesitate to ask me questions, please. We look at them. We cannot answer all of them, but the team actually puts them together and we choose depending on what's important. I very often use also those videos to also educate my patients. Sometimes I'm thinking, oh, there is this one topic we didn't go into more details, and I thought, oh, maybe it will be more interesting so that they can remember what we've talked about during our encounters and our visits. Today, it's a really important topic for the US. I do not know if this topic hits all of the countries the same. I do think that if you want to learn about how the US system works, it will be wonderful for you to listen to this, just to understand how lucky you are sometimes if you live in France, for example, or how a system can be so different from one country to another. And we are going to talk about how when you have been diagnosed with a rheumatologic condition and your rheumatologist is telling you, hey, I think you need this medication, how you can save. I have had many of my patients, I'm not saying 1, 2, or 3, but like actually many of my patients who've told me, thanks to you, Dr. Amigues, I have actually saved medicine. Like I've saved so much money just being under your care. Thank you. And I'm about to share how we do this. Okay. The reason I can do this with my patients is that I have time with them. And this is a little plug in. If you're looking for a rheumatologist, please consider coming and seeing us at Unabridged MD, where we see you as a whole. We are not rushing you. We are not just looking only at labs and not listening to you. We are really taking care of you. All right. So that was the plug-in for the practice on Unabridged MD, since I really do believe it's the best practice out there in rheumatology. So if you are in Colorado, consider being seen by us. Okay. That's the number one. The number two is to learn about ways to save about medicines. All right. So in rheumatology, we have a lot of different options, which is what's really wonderful about this specialty, because while I could say, oh, it's thanks to me, my patients are doing better, the truth is that it's actually thanks to a lot of time with the medicines. And remember, the way that we're achieving remission and sustained remission is the first 6 months, we get you to full remission. The next 6 months, it's grosso modo, right? Like sometimes it's shorter, sometimes it's a little faster, a little longer. But first 6 months, we're getting you to remission. Then 6 months, you're in remission. Second year is we back off from treatment and we make sure you're not having flare. And then third year, you're on the go, you're in sustained remission. You hardly need any rheumatology care, okay? Yay, that's where we want you to be, so that you don't think about your rheumatologist. As much as I would love for you to think about me, I would rather you don't think about me. So you can live your life, because that is much more fun. If you want to go mountain bike or ski or snowboard or rock climb, I want you to be able to do this, right? Like, I mean, I would much rather you think of me when you're like on your mountain bike and thinking, wow, I'm totally fine now, than thinking of me because you're like, oh man, I'm not doing well. Okay. And that's something we can do, by the way, in the practice. So again, another plugin. All right. So when a patient needs a medication, so we're going to start with let's say it's, rheumatoid arthritis, ankylosing spondylitis, psoriatic arthritis, those one, or even gout, right? The first treatment usually is like a pretty cheap treatment. It's not a very expensive treatment. What's really interesting is, for example, methotrexate or an NSAID such as ibuprofen, diclofenac, meloxicam, or colchicine or allopurinol. All of those drugs that are synthetic, right? They are made synthetically. They don't exist out there. There's no human product, and they are not biologic. They are just synthetic. That kind of like the old ways of making medicine, which we still make, right? Well, in those medicines, very often, if you actually just have those, it's actually cheaper to not pay, to not go for your insurance. And right, that's kind of crazy. You're paying an insurance, and it's better to not go for an insurance. And I'm going to give you an example. Estrogen vaginal cream, which is for patients who are postmenopausal, costs $150 to $250 a tube if you use your insurance. If you buy it with Good RX coupon, so that's the first plugin, Good RX coupon, or if you use the Mark Cuban pharmacy, which is a cost plus pharmacy, this will cost you less than $20. Yeah. So we are talking $250 if you're going for your insurance, which means that if you haven't reached your pocket maximum, you're going to have to pay that, or $20. Yeah, the system is broken, totally broken. But you know what's really cool when there's a system that's broken is that you just need to know how to deal with it. And if you know how to deal with it, your system can be as broken as it is. It doesn't matter. You know how to fix it, and you're not fixing the system. The system needs to be fixed, but that's not your job. You know how to handle this. So it's kind of like, think about it as you're going to go to the desert. Well, you just need to take some water and to know exactly what path you're taking, and then you're going to be fine. Well, same thing here, okay? Well, so again, when you have a medication, always, always, always look at the price that Good RX will give you. And what's really interesting, so you put Good RX, so GOODRX.com, and then it asks you to put your zip code. So you put your zip code, and then they give you different coupons on where to go. So maybe sometimes it's at Safeway, maybe sometimes it's at Walgreens, maybe sometimes it's, I think it's not Target, maybe Target has also some there, but Costco. Anyway, just look. Personally, I feel like it's easier for me to just go to the same pharmacy. But you know what? Sometimes it's like $50 difference. I'm gonna go to the one that's $50 less, right? So that's if you haven't reached your maximum out of pocket. And I assure you, look at Mark Cuban. It actually comes directly to you. So the Mark Cuban is the Costco Plus. And then the Good RX is just a coupon. And always, always show it to the pharmacist, because they may not tell you about this, right? Okay, so that's the first one. Then it's knowing how to reach the maximum out of pocket, right? So in insurance, a lot of people look at the deductible, and I don't think that that's the way to do it. Personally, the way I do it is that I look at the maximum out of pocket, I look at the premium, I add those, and then I compare each plans. I have a video somewhere, so just look for it, right? And you add, and then you just compare. So then you can compare apples to apples, right? Well, how do you reach the maximum out of pocket without paying the maximum out of pocket? If you are in Colorado, and apparently it's not for every state, right? So you would have to call every time. But if you are in Colorado, there's no law against the having a helper from the drug companies to pay for your max out of pocket. So what I mean by that, let's say I put you on a biologic. I use Humira a lot, so we're going to use Humira. I use a lot of other drugs too, but I really do use Humira a lot. And so, well, let's say you use Humira, right? And you have, and I'm not paid by them, by the way, and AbbVie is the drug company that makes Humira. You can actually call AbbVie. They have a patient assistance program. You go on the patient assistance program, and what they can do is then they have a copay program that helps you pay the copay. until you reach your max out of pocket. And what's really interesting, let's say, so I can't remember the price because we never actually pay those prices, but let's say the cost is like $2,000 per month. I think it's like $4,000 per month if you do it with insurance. If you don't do it with insurance, you can actually buy a generic, like a biosimilar on Costco Plus, and with GoodRx, I think it's about 500 or like I think it's 500 per month or something. So you see the difference, 2,000 or sometimes 4,500. What a difference, right? Well, if you do those, like if you have the insurance and your maximum out of pocket, let's say let's make it 10K, right? 10,000. Well, the copay program of AbbVie, and I don't know the exact number, you have to call them, right? But the copay program, when you're first buying, they are going to be like, oh, it's 4,000, right? Well, you say, okay, fine. So the copay program will pay, they either reimburse you or they pay directly. And the pharmacy, and they pay that, like, let's say the 4,000 minus, they have to have a deductible. So let's say $100, right? Or like $100. So you pay $100 and they put the 4,000. Then the second shipment, the second month, same thing, right? $100 that you pay, and the copay program pays the 4,000. So then, bam, you kind of like already hit the maximum out of pocket, or like maybe the third, depending on I think maximum out of pocket in high deductible plan are like 7,500, 7,000, 8,000, right? So in 2 shipments, 2 months, you have reached the maximum out of pocket. And it's the copay program who has helped you pay for it. And why does that be helpful? It's because, like, and you're going to tell me, but what's in their interest to do that? Well, let's say, and this happens very often, that you don't have a ton of money to pay for a copay program, to pay for a medication. Which one will you choose? Are you going to choose the medications such as Humira that has a very good copay program that can help you pay the maximum out of pocket, or will you choose some other ones that don't have a good copay program, and so basically because of that cannot help you with the max out of pocket, right? Well, you're going to choose the one that has a good max out of pocket, a good copay program, right? And so that's something that we absolutely look at when I order medication. I'm always asking, what's the maximum out of pocket of my patients? Like, and we're looking, and if it's really expensive, we switch. And what's in there for the company is that they know that once you have reached the maximum out of pocket, well, what happens? You're going to continue on their drugs, and who pays for that? It's the insurance, finally, what they're supposed to do, right? So you finally have insurance paying for the drug. Basically, what AbbVie did, and I'm pretty sure this is what they do, they increase the price anyway so that they know how much you're going to be on, right? And so they increase the price, and they know that if it works, you're going to be on it, right? And so you're going to be on it for many, many months. So that's like all benefit for them, right? So there are copay program for almost every single expensive drug. If you have a drug that is expensive, you can almost be certain that there is a copay program. The only ones that don't really have a copay program, and I don't remember it, but it's probably like, the drugs where you have, like, it's for just, maybe like drugs that you're losing weight because they had so many interests that they didn't really need to have a copay program. But the vast, vast, vast majority of drugs that are expensive, that are brand name, have copay program. What's so interesting to me is that biosimilars, oh gosh, all right, I'm going to be upset a little bit. You know that when I started medicine, we had this drug, started rheumatology. We had this drug, I think it was rituximab, which is a CD20, right? It's one of the first biologic. It changed the life of lymphoma because lymphoma are CD20, like they're B cell, and we were like flopping all of those B cells that were going haywire. Well, so it had been like 20 years that Rituxan was around. And so we were all so excited. There's going to be a biosimilar, which is like the equivalent of a generic. And I'm so excited about that. You're like, wow, all of those biologic are going to be so much cheaper, but not in the US. You know why? because everything is about money, which is kind of fun. Actually, if you really think about it, it's fun. It's a game. Like if you see it as a game, it's so much more fun. It's a game, and it's about who is going to make the most money. And then, the cool thing is that ideally people who make a lot of money can actually share with the community and share with causes that are important. And I'm all for that, right? Well, the biosimilars, so they only had to show that they were just equivalent. They didn't have to do as many big, like the biosimilars don't have to do much more than just showing that it's equivalent. They don't have to do much marketing. They don't have to educate, because we already know all of those drugs, right? Yeah. So you would expect that the prices are going to be much lower. No, they are not. What they do is that they talk to the insurance company and they make deals with them. And they're like, look, if you put this drug on your preferred pharmacy drugs, I will cut you a deal. I mean, sorry, I'm just laughing because I'm 100% sure this is exactly this happens. Like they're going over a dinner with a big steak and like wine, and it's probably all white male that are basically discussing, okay, how do we cut a deal? Like, how much do you want us to pay for this? And so then what happens is that those biosimilar that were supposed to be way cheaper are not, because they cut the deal with the insurance instead of actually saying, hey, we're going to be really cheap, because we didn't have to put so much money into the research and development. And you know what? You could say it's a scam. It's disappointing for sure. But at the end of the day, it's the capitalist system. And I don't think we have to be upset about it, because it is the system. It's like Monopoly. It's a game. I teach this to my kids. You have a game and you play with it. Okay. And you don't change the rules as we're playing, like my daughter would want to do. And that's okay, right? So the biosimilar also, like at the end of the day, the biosimilar, because they are expensive and they also want to be prescribed, also have copay programs. That's the end of the story for you guys. And so that's like another way that you can actually save money. It's to make sure that you're using that copay program. There are a couple of things that I want to share. One, oh, and I have such a cool question from L. McMaster. Yeah, so in other countries like France, yeah, generic rituximab is very cheap. The thing is that you can't compare France with other countries like the US, because France is a single payer insurance system. And so there's only one insurance. Then you have what we call like mutual funds, like it's a mutuelle, which are like basically secondary insurance to pay for whatever the main insurance doesn't pay. But that's very little. And because they are a single payer, they can have a huge amount of clout when when they decide the price. They basically say, so like how the FDA says, okay, this is approved for this drug, like rituximab is approved for rheumatoid arthritis. Okay, great. In France, what they do, autorisation mise sur le marché, AMM. You don't need to know that. I don't know why I share this. It's like the French knowledge. Well, when you do that, they also say, and this will be the cost. But because they cannot say, well, we don't want to work with you, we're going to go in this other insurance, because they have, I can't remember the number of million of people that live in France, but because they have to deal with 50 million, I think, something like that, 52 or 53. Anyway, because they have to deal with, they want to have access to that market, they are going to say okay to the price. There is only one drug that I know of that said, no, we don't care about this. It's Viagra. When Viagra came on the market, they were like, no, we don't want this. We don't care. And they made it so that they were like, no, we do not care about you. We don't want you to reimburse you. And because they knew that the demand would be so high that they did not need to be prescribed by prescribers, meaning that they would be prescribed, but they didn't need that. And that's exactly what they did. And so to me, it's such a game and it's so fun. Yeah, right? Like you're laughing. It's so fun if you think about it. It's like, yeah, you can be upset. And sure, we can do things about it. I'm of like, maybe it's because, I lived in France and now I live in the US and I have to adapt and adjust. And I cannot be like, oh, I don't like how the US is working. No, it's working the way it's working and you have to adjust. And to me, I just make fun of it because it's like, wait, the biosimilars are so expensive here. And sometimes I've been thinking I should just go to France and pay for a lot of those biosimilar and then bring them back to the US. Absolutely not allowed. So I can't do that. But I've actually thought about it. At one point, colchicine, which is this drug that's very, very, very cheap in Europe and in Canada, there was a big deal, like because in the US, I think a company started paying for it. No, they created the test, and they actually went for the FDA approval for gout. Like this was like maybe 10 years ago. So very like much later, we knew that colchicine worked for gout, but they were smart. They were like, no, we're going to make it FDA approved. So they did this small study. They get it approved by the FDA and they jacked up the price. I think it was like 100 times, if not 50. It was like insane. This drug that was like $3 before became like a $300. And you're like, come on. Like, so anyway, so all of this to say there are ways, and their goal is to be paid by insurance because they know that insurance is where they're getting the most money from, right? Now, I will say, again, in order to save money, if you do not have an insurance, don't think that that's not possible for you. You can still go to to the drug companies and ask them, can you help me? And I have to say, the patients assistance program in those drugs company are absolutely amazing, and they will help most of the time. Sometimes it's depending on your income. Very often it actually isn't. Again, why? Because if the medicine works for you, they know that your chances on being on that drug for a very long time is very high. And so while they might help you for, let's say, a year, 6 months, 3 months, I don't know, right? Depending, they also know that long term, you're going to pay for it, right? So that's like some ways to help. So to summarize, if you're getting a drug, do know that the drugs are coming in all different ways, that we have biosimilar, that one drug may be preferred with your insurance. So don't freak out if, for example, the insurance is saying, I don't want you to be on Humira, I want you to be on this Safnelo, whatever, like a different type of biosimilar. It's pretty much the same for us, so don't worry. And then go on and look at the copay program. Look at Good RX, look at Mark Cuban, okay? And also ask your doctor and tell them, hey, like I've looked and really those drugs are super expensive. Do you have another one? Ask maybe for sample. Ask sample for the patient assistance program as well, okay? But that's really, really important that you realize that you're not on your own. And I'm going to finish here and I'm going to say, share this with someone you think might need this. Look, as a patient myself, when was that now? 6 years ago, I had to go on this infusion that was super expensive. And you know what's really interesting is that I didn't know about the copay program until I myself called them and I was like, do you guys have a copay program? And sure enough, they had it. And I had paid for it myself. I had paid the maximum out of pocket for 2 years until I learned about this copay program that basically paid for my max out of pocket. And then basically my max out of pocket every year, I would just pay $100 instead of 8,000 because they would pay for the rest. I mean, that's how good it is. And then you start this at the beginning of the year, and then the rest of your year is free. So that would allow me to actually have, this $8,000 for the best oncologist that I could see. And it wasn't like necessarily in insurance. Okay. So I hope you had fun listening to this. If you like this, please share with someone that you think would benefit from this. Subscribe on Rheumatology 101. Also be a subscriber on Instagram or YouTube, or I think we are on TikTok. I don't look at TikTok because it's way too addictive for me. And I'm just going to answer some of the questions. So Lisa, do you think a single payer system could work in the USA someday? Honestly, I don't think so. But I think it's also okay because what it offers to people is a choice. And I think having a choice in the US is such an important core value of Americans. Like I went to DC and I remember you know how they have the Declaration of Independence? And I can't, I'm so sorry. I can't remember exactly the words, but it was a light bulb moment of basically realizing that people who came into this country came because they were escaping some sort of oppression maybe of religion, oppression of who they were, right? A lot of people have come in the US for a different option. And while in Europe, it makes sense. In Europe, we know if you really look at all the countries, they are very similar. Like I didn't have so many ideas like we have in the US. Like it's actually pretty similar. And just like it's actually cool to see how different it is in the US. And I think it's because there is a choice. And having the choice is such a core value of the US that I do not think a single payer system will work. Maybe it will in like another 200 years, like absolutely possible. I don't think it's gonna happen while we are here. And I'm gonna say it doesn't matter because you can just learn the rules of the game. If you actually think of it, like we pay so many taxes in France, and I'm talking about France because I know France. We pay so many taxes that at the end of the day, our healthcare system is probably just as expensive than in the US. So it's not that there's one better than the other. It's just that they are different, and they all offer some benefit and less, and drawbacks, and that's all really that's all there is. And just learn the system. That's what I'm thinking. And then I'm just saying hello to John Children's Foundation. It's such a pleasure to meet you. I'm sure Heather Rockdog, you'll be here. And oh wow, it's been a long one today, but you've been here. And thank you, Lisa. Thank you for the anonymous because if you don't put any comment, I don't actually know who you are. But thank you for watching this live, and I will see you next week. Have a wonderful week. Take care, everyone, and be healthy, be well, and you deserve remission. Take care.